Hey guys, welcome to the Shortwave channel, and of course we are in the middle of the top 10 favorite shortwave radio portables that I own. And of course there will be more. Like I said, there will be some that I will have a video about, the ones that I would actually purchase. And there's of course going to be a little more videos. There's going to be some interesting. I've got a few series in the head right now that I will be doing, so I think you guys are going to enjoy that. My top 10, well, it can't go without my Tecsun PL380. I've mentioned this so many times. This is one of the oldest portables I own of Tecsun. Also, I purchased a few Tecsun in the first, like 5 years, 6 years ago. And I should look at the channel to see when I purchased this last time, but you can still get this. It's still a portable that's sold. The Tecsun PL380 is roughly $50 US. It's available on Amazon, it's available on eBay. And you know what? Look for sales, especially on Amazon. Sometimes it could be surprising how these radios can actually get to a lower price point. So, around 50 US bucks. It does not have single sideband. That's the first thing I need to actually say. It has digital readout, which is nice. So when you actually power it up and tune in the bands, well, you have a radio that actually is capable of, listening to the bands and showing you or displaying you the frequencies that you're listening to. And this is really nice because it's a step up from the R9012 that I talked about. It's a PLL or phase lock loop driven radio. That means it's very precise in its frequency readout. There's no drift. PLL receivers usually have no or very, very, very little drift. It has keypad entry. That is also something that I like because punching in your favorite frequencies is always cool and so much easier on the listening in of stations and stuff. For example, Radio Romania here. And the antenna isn't even, it's still collapsed. Imagine, it's a sensitive receiver. Of course, so, already there, it's a winner radio, but not all receivers with keypad and digital display are winner radios. There's crappy stuff out there. This is a great one. It's a sensitive receiver, and it actually works really, really well in receiving its signals. It is DSP based. That means it has that silicon integrated digital signal processing chip in it. And that is actually what made me purchase this radio for the first time, because it was one of the first receivers that I'd see that had DSP mentioned on it, and I wanted to actually test by myself what does that digital signal processing chip actually do. Now, the silicon integrated chip is on in many radios actually. It's even on modern receivers like the XH Data. And it is a full radio within a chip. So, of course, a lot of receivers use it because it lowers the price of the radio itself, and you don't need that many other parts to actually have it working as a full receiver. What does that give? Well, it gives also something interesting. It gives out bandwidth. This receiver has 6 bandwidths. So you see here 3 kilohertz, 2 kilohertz, 1 kilohertz, and 6 kilohertz, then back 4, and so on. This is nice because it lets you narrow in on the signal you're listening to. Of course, the lower the bandwidth, the less audio quality you get. But sometimes in a crowded frequency range, it actually will let you tune in more precisely to a signal you're listening to and removing the adjacent signals that are on upper or the lower part of the frequency range near the frequency. So this is one part of what a DSP chip actually brings you. It also brings you a different way of showing things. So, the display will actually have here at the top signal to noise ratio, which is the signal level, the clock, of course, the temperature, and of course the you have an alarm in here, so you can actually set this or use this as your morning alarm before going to work. It is an AM, FM, stereo through the earpiece, and long wave receiver and shortwave radio. The coverage of shortwave is 2,300 to 29,950 kilohertz. So it's not a general coverage. It starts at 2,300 and it ends at 21,950. But it does cover every international major broadcast band. What is nice is you can tune in to a frequency in between the international broadcast bands. It's not, you know, something that you have to listen in to international. So that means it opens the door to the fact that you can listen to pretty much every frequency, even stations that are out of band. So this is nice because you listen to pretty much any international broadcast band with it, including, you know, pirate stations. You know, there would be a strong pirate on 6925. You'd be able to punch in the frequency, and you'd be, you know, you'd be there. You'd be happy to be on that frequency actually and listen to the pirate station. So this is the advantage of having no, you know, fixed international broadcast bands. Long wave is from 153 to 513 kilohertz. Now this radio is the first radio I've ever purchased that had something called ETM, and while we're talking about that, we're going to let it do a scan. ETM is right here. I'll press and hold. Now, you know, in electronics, there's a lot of gimmicks and there's a lot of stuff that they tell you, oh, this is extra HD performance 212. And you're like, oh, wow, this is so cool. What the hell does it mean? And of course, often it doesn't mean anything. You know, it's like those glasses they sell on eBay that HD vision. Yeah, your eye's going to be HD suddenly. Yeah. So, you know, there's a lot of gimmicks. And I have a lot of difficulty kind of, you know, with all of these gimmicks. But ETM for me, which is easy tuning mode, I thought was, okay, that's another gimmick to try to sell shortwave radios. But this radio introduced me to a feature that I fell in love with. ETM scans actually the international broadcast bands and puts in a temporary memory all the stations that it will actually find on its way. So that means that while it scans, you'll see the counter go up here. Of course, now I'm inside and there's a lot of noise, so I don't know if it's going to catch a lot of stuff, but this counter will show the number of stations that it received. And this is kind of cool because in a moment where you just want to have a scan of the bands and see what stations are easy to listen to, well, the easy tuning mode will do that for you. You just let it do its thing, and once it's scanned, it's going to tell you, oh, I found 14 stations. An example, I actually put a long wire, a little wire on it, not a long wire, like maybe 10 feet of wire the other night, and it actually found 37 stations. So it's like, you know, you go through and you're like, oh, okay, it's got Greece, it's got Turkey, it's got so on. It's kind of cool. It's a very cool feature. Any radio that you see with ETM, easy tuning mode, it's very, very, very nice, honestly, and I really love that. Good audio quality, of course, and nice. It's really a nice radio. It uses 3 AA batteries, which is perfect. You can charge rechargeable batteries with a USB cable if you actually plug it onto a computer. So you got, of course, the plug here, which is a mini USB. You'll see that this can be plugged to a USB port of your computer and charge internal batteries. You can also plug it in on one of those wall chargers of your cell phones. Most of cell phones now today are very standard with 5 volts, so you just plug in the USB part into it and it's going to charge the radio. Earphone jack, of course. FM stereo through the earphones. This is nice because it lets you listen to the stereo portion of everything. The radio comes with a carrying bag or a pouch. It comes with an external antenna that you clip on and earphones that are not great, but they're okay. I mean, they're not bad, but there could be better. I put my Galaxy S9 earbuds on this, and it's just great. The sound quality is amazing when you have good earphones on this thing. What's the bad part of this radio? Bad part is that it actually does not tune above 21,950. So you miss out on above 22 megahertz. Now, I agree. There's some of you will say out there, well, there's nothing above 20. There's a few things. You know, I mean, CB band, you could listen to the CB if it goes to 30 megahertz. And there's some stuff that when sporadic E-skip actually happens, or when stored activity is very strong, that it could actually pick up. But, you know, it's not a big loss, but, you know, you're going up to 22, you should have gone 30, I don't know. The keypad is a little bit sluggish in its response. So when you punch in, you got to take your time. It's like a slow computer, but at least it works well, and it's great. It overloads if you put a really long wire, but that most little portables do actually. The fact that it's a digital signal processing radio also makes it weird when it fades in and out in the signals. It's like fading out and fading in kind of levels instead of being smooth. So it sounds a little weird, and you got to get used to a DSP based receiver for that reason, because it does sound a little weird when you tune it for the first time, but you know, it's not a bad, really much of a bad thing. It has memory channels where you can program your stuff in, so all the channels, and of course it's a great little radio. Batteries last forever on this thing, so you don't have to worry also about batteries. They usually last quite a long time. And of course you have your light, so if you want to actually light up the display, it's scanning, so it doesn't, it's like a computer, it doesn't do two things at the same time on this one, like a very old computer. But once it's scanned, here we go. So let me just put the light on. So you got this nice background light that can be actually on all the time, which is nice. I actually like radios where you can leave the display on all the time, and let me choose when I want to have it or not. Clock, of course, can be displayed separate from frequency, and this is nice because that means you can actually have UTC time, for example, while you're tuning the bands. So this is at least something interesting for that. And well, it didn't get much because I suspected the inside with the noise, the easy tuning mode would not catch much. Like I said, there's memory channels in here, so you can program your favorite frequencies if you wish. Great AM sensitivity, good FM radio also, because not all FM radios are equal. I know of a good FM radio when I actually start tuning around and I listen into the VPR or Vermont Public Radio Station easily. When it does get it quite easily, actually that means that the radio is pretty good. So this one is part of the good ones.
That he's concerned the silence from Vermont's Act 250 Commission, which is now reviewing the 51.
And the AM radio is not bad at all. It has an internal ferret for it, so it works really well. And plus, you got long wave. And it also has extended FM, so if you actually change the mode in it, you can go down to 64 megahertz on FM. Overall, for 50 bucks, you've got an amazing radio, but it does not have single sideband. So you gotta know that you can't tune in to lower upper sideband signals or amateur radio signals. Most of them, actually, there's a few signals out there that are AM, but it does not have single sideband. Overall, an amazing radio, and it is easily part of my top 10 favorite portables that I own. If you enjoy my videos, please subscribe, give us thumbs up. Thank you for watching.